Today we're gonna have a look on my Suzuki Jimny. It's a Jimny from 1999 or 2000. I'm not fully sure because it kind of says two different things, but 99, 2000. And this one has the proper color of mud. The Jimny is quite a special little vehicle. It's an all-out off-roader. It's a body-on-frame vehicle, so it could take some beating. This is not a stock vehicle because I have it lifted like 3-inch and I got some bigger tires on it. In this case I have 29-inch tires on them, and the rims are from a Jeep CJ and they are 15-inch. The Jimny though is a very small vehicle. It has a small engine and a small body, but what it lacks in size it compensates for in off-road performance without any doubt. Under the hood we find a small 1.3 liter 4-cylinder engine. The Jimny from this generation with this kind of look came with two engine options. The first one that came in them was a single overhead cam 1.3 liters engine called the G engine. It's called G13BB. Later down the road, Suzuki swapped out this engine and they put a dual overhead cam engine in it, also 1.3 liter, and that one has the name of M13 and engine. It's the M engine. They are quite similar in power output. Overall, working in this engine bay is quite easy. It's a small engine, there's a lot of space. Not much to say about this engine. It is slow and it doesn't really make any power, and it doesn't really sound good either. So, but well, it's a Suzuki Jimny. You don't really buy this for the power or the sound of the engine. It's a Jimny. You buy it because it's a Jimny. So the Jimny might not be the fastest car or the biggest, but maybe it has some storage for you. Maybe you could store stuff in here and have a lot of space. I wouldn't know. I like though how the door opens up. It's pretty cool with the door open up like that. Though if you're having something here like a bike rack or something like that, you can't really open up the door, so that's a bad thing. But well, it's a Jimny, I don't care. What about the storage in here? How much would it fit? Could it fit me in here? Let's find out. And let's see if I close this. Well, it could kind of fit me. I would be a little bit squished if I push that, but if you need some space you could easily just fold down the seats and that will give you plenty of room actually for a Jimny. The Jimny has some smart function if you want some extra space though. You could kind of like look on the Jimny as a miniature Wrangler, maybe the TJ or YJ. You could fold down the seats and both of them goes down, and that comes down quite quick and effective, and then you could just put your headrest over here and that will give you some extra space. And if you are two persons just riding a line, this is decent. You have quite a lot of space here in here. And if you're removing the seats here, it might even be possible for you to sleep in the car and make it like a camper. I've seen people doing that actually. So the back seats are pretty okay. There's a lot of space here actually. It's one of the better in the class. Especially if you're moving this one forward so the passenger in the front don't have any space, then you will have a lot of space. So if we are like moving this all the way forward, I can sit really good in here actually. And I have a plastic armrest over here, and there's even a cup holder. So why would you even buy a big car when you have all this space in a small Suzuki Jimny? This is perfect. I'm not sure it's so good for the passenger over there, but never mind. I kind of wondering, let's say there would be a passenger there. How bad would it be for the passenger in the front in order for me to get all this space here? Well, I wouldn't want to drive or ride like this for hours at least. I'm not even sure I would want to ride like this, but if we move it backwards and think about the passenger that rides along in the front seat is... it's okay. It's still a small car, so you kind of get the space. There's a funny detail here if you open the hatch, and if you want to play a joke on someone and you own a Jimny, you should tell someone to open up the hood and they were going to look everywhere. But I don't think they're going to look in the glove box over here, because this is where you open up the hood. Funny little detail. I've seen some Japanese car doing that. Always fun to tell people to find out how to pop up the hood. Overall, if you look in the interior, it's plastic everywhere, and it's kind of shaky. The whole car is a shaky car. It's a small wheelbase. In this case, I have the lifted springs, and they are quite stiff. Not sure how it is in a stock configuration where you have the original springs. Maybe that one is a little bit plusher, but when you're going on gravels and stuff like that, you definitely feel the bumps. I think it's a combination of the springs, the small wheelbase, and overall the small car. But, well, if you have a Jimny and you like the Jimny, you don't really care about those things. They're just adding character to the car. This is a car with a lot of character. And with all that character, you don't really care about all the other stuffs and the things that are a little bit strange on it. I said before that it might be possible to sleep in this, and I'm a little bit curious on how that would work out. I've never tried this, but we're gonna give it a try. So I'm gonna remove that, and this one goes down this much. What about it? Goes backwards quite a lot. So I would want to go like here, and then like down here. This is ridiculously uncomfortable. Proving a point, if you're working a little bit with it, the space is here. You could make this into a small camper, and the height of the roof, it's pretty tall up there. So you kind of have a lot of headroom, which means you could actually build like a platform that comes up a little bit, and you would still have some storage underneath, and then you just sleep on the platform, and maybe you could make that platform into like a foldable design, so you could fold it down when you're not sleeping and still have a passenger with it. Or if you're gonna sleep two persons, you could definitely do that by this. In this Jimny comes to storage, there is some small storage in here. You could probably put a knife or something like that, a small pocket knife, a Swiss Army knife, or you could put some tape and one glove, for example. There's endless possibilities with this storage. Besides this, you have a tiny little storage here where you find a warning triangle and a small jack. The best thing with this construction is that when you packed all the things down, you need to remove everything out of the car in order to access this. But the great thing with this Jimny is that you can't fit so many stuffs in here, so it's not so much stuffs to remove. So that's a good thing. To show you how great this storage is, I'm gonna show you how it looks with my regular stuffs in here. In this basket I have some air compressor and some good to things have with you, and over here is my camera bag and my tripod. And there's still a lot of room in here. You could easily fit a bottle of Coke or a bottle of water or something tiny, maybe an ant farm. As previously mentioned with the tires, it's a mud terrain tires. They're roughly around 29 inch. It's a Cougar Malatesta tire. The exact size is 235/75 on a 15-inch rim. They are not the biggest tire, but I really feel that they work great on the Jimny. When you're putting bigger tires on a Jimny, it's kind of messing up a little bit with the gearing in the transfer case, and to get that better experience with the Jimny, you would want to re-gear the transfer case. There's different kits for those, but they are quite expensive, to be honest. And if you're going with bigger tires than 28 to 29 inch, I would definitely recommend you to re-gear the transfer case, because the low range in this with these bigger tires is not that low. That's where you see a lot of people put something called a rock lobster transfer case in vehicles like this, and that is a huge difference. With a rock lobster transfer case, the third gear could be similar to what the first gear is in the stock configuration. So if you're going to build an off-roader with this, consider what you're doing with the tires, and then after that you kind of need to think about the transfer case and the gearing in that. As I mentioned before, this is a proper off-roader, and the definitions of being a proper off-roader in my view is that it needs to have a low range gearing, and bonuses is if it has solid front and rear axle, and an extra bonus is if it's a body on frame construction. The last one is not really necessary in many ways, because if you look on the Cherokees, for example, the Jeep Cherokees, that's a unibody, and that's still a kick-ass off-roader. But most of the off-roaders that I like, they have a solid front and rear axle, and they have the low range gearing. The lift kit on this Jimny is from Black Raptor, and the whole lift is based on three things. First of all, the lift kit is a proper one. It comes with replacement springs that are like longer, so there's no pucks or anything like that. It comes with new shocks, and it comes with a new track bar from the front and the rear. The track bar is adjustable, so when you're lifting up the vehicle, the front axle are going to do like this. It's going to move out on the side, and that is because of the track bar. So if you have an adjustable track bar, you could basically lift up the vehicle without the axle moving sideways, and you could keep that stock angle. Another thing that happens when you're lifting up a vehicle is that the front axle is kind of like moving like this. I think it's called a caster angle. That being changed, and that decreases the stability of the vehicle. So in order to correct that, there's some options. You could put longer control arms, but in this case I went for an offset correction bushing. It's a bushing that you put in your control arm, and that bushing is basically having some offset on it, so the hole is in a different position, and that corrects the angle of the front axle. It works really good actually, and it's very noticeable. The third thing I did on the lift was to put a steering stabilizer on it, which helps for the bigger wheels, and it gives a more composed steering, and that also works very well. So for being an off-roader that has a 3-inch lift, short wheelbase, bigger tires, it actually rides really good on the highway. If I'm driving in highway speed, it's stable. I could take my hands off it. It's composed in the steering, and it doesn't do any surprising movements when you're going over potholes and stuff like that. Next thing we should do now, I think we should go and drive it and see how it drives and how it feels when we're driving it. So let's get along. So the Jimny has a permanent four-wheel drive, which is pretty nice in some situations when it's slippery. But it also rides in two-wheel drives, which is a little bit better for fuel economy and stuff like that. When it comes to the acceleration, it's absolutely not quick. It struggles to go up steeper hills. You have to put it in third gear. It's a stick shift on it, in five-speed manual, and some way I kind of like that, even if it's not optimal for off-roading, especially not without the Rock Lobster transfer case. I think if you have the Rock Lobster transfer case, it's much nicer on the trudge, and the whole off-road experience is a lot of better. But driving off-road with this is absolutely doable. It is on my top 10 list for the top off-roaders in the world. If you want to know that full list, let me know in the comment, and I might do a video like that. At the moment I'm driving on just a simple tarmac road, and the pavement is nice and the surface is flat. I have it in two-wheel drive and just ride along. The tires are a little bit noisy, but that's the payoff you have with the mud terrain tires. But driving this one, even if it's slow, even if it's shaky and all the characteristics it has, it's still a vehicle that I really enjoy driving, even on tarmac, and also on gravel. Of course, this is a car that I drive a lot on gravel, although it is not as comfortable on gravel roads and on any other roads as for example, a CJ is a Jeep Grand Cherokee CJ, or a off-roader with a individual front and rear suspension. But those things doesn't matter. I don't care about them, because the character of this car, it outshines everything else. And I think the car being what it is, being slow, stiff, bumpy and everything, that just adds up to the character of this car. That adds up to all the things that make someone really enjoy this car. And then when we go into the forest and driving off-road, that is where it really shines up. It is small, so it goes around everywhere, where other cars are just like struggling in tight corners and tight spaces. This car just goes through it like nothing. When it comes to performing off-road, at some points it goes up where other more off-road worthy vehicles don't. That is, of course, many times from time to time, and it's not real fair to say that this is more off-road worthy than any other car, because what makes success in an off-road situation depends on many different factors. But I don't have any issue to keep up with the big guys, if you say it like that. Now we are accessing the first gravel, and a nice thing is that I could, on the go, I could put it in 4-wheel drive. In order to do that, I just clutch down and put it in neutral. I don't even think you need to put it in neutral actually, and then you could swap onto the 4 high on the go, and that gives you that extra little grip that you kind of would want to have on the gravel. It also has a 2-wheel drive mode. So what 2-wheel drive means is that it would be possible to do donuts and do fun burnout, especially since it drives on the rear wheel in that situation. Question is though, can it do burnout?
No, stop!
No. It can't do burnout because it's really slow, and I have issues to do the donut even on gravel. Let's give it another go. See, overall it just don't have that power. That's unfortunate, but perhaps on when it's icy and there's snow, maybe it can do it, but you're not buying a Jimny to doing burnouts and that kind of stuff. Even if it can't do it, it's not a big issue, but of course it would be more fun if it could do it, but well, you can't really get anything. So let's continue the test drive and look on the other things. One might ask, why would you buy a Jimny, and what's the reason for buying a Jimny? And the main reason is the off-road performance. Off-road performance in combination with the size. It's a small vehicle and it has a huge off-road performance. When it comes to aftermarket sports with aftermarket things, the market is huge as well. When it comes to the community around it, the off-road community and the Suzuki Jimny community is big as well. There's a lot of groups on Facebook and stuff like that where you could get information. Talking about finding parts, one of my favorite places to buy car parts from is a site called Rock Auto. It's an American site. I don't have any corporation or anything like that, but they just have a lot of stuff, and the shipping is quick as well, so I buy a lot of stuff there. It's an American site, but this car was never released in US, I think, so you don't have so many parts from the US stores. That's too bad, but it's not really a deal breaker or anything like that, because the parts in Europe is quite cheap as well. I just recently swapped out the water pump, that is like $30. The timing belt as well, that kit was around $50. So the parts are quite affordable for it, and even finding second-hand parts it's not that difficult. That's all there is to it on my Suzuki Jimny. It's a car that is ridiculously fun to drive. It's a good off-roader. It's a small but powerful package. If you like this kind of video, let me know in a comment below. Give it a thumbs up as well. And let me know in a comment if you want to see my top 10 list of the best off-roaders, and I will start to do a playlist like that. or not a playlist. I will start to work on a video like that. But this vehicle, the Jimny, is definitely on that list. If you want to see more reviews of different vehicles, click over here to see that playlist, and click over here to subscribe, or maybe over here and there. We'll see where it ends up. Where do you have more space? Here or there? There. Okay. If you like this kind of content, click here to see more reviews, and click here to subscribe. And if you want notifications and to know every time I release a new video, click that bell icon as well. Thanks for watching, and I see you later.